Hey guys, Michael the Comic Nerd here. So let's give this vlog thing a try. So, pretty much over the course of the past several months, pretty much the entire semester when I've been procrastinating, doing work I probably should have done weeks ago, I've been using my Netflix a lot to basically catch up on all the big classic movies that I've missed that I've never seen before, like The Godfather, stuff like that. And, most recent one I saw, it's not necessarily a classic, but it's still one I wanted to see. It was called The Kids Are Alright, which I believe came out on it's a fairly recent film. It came out like not too long ago. I don't know the exact year. Hold that thought. I got the slip here somewhere. Okay, only 2 years ago. So yeah, very recent film. And I remember it got a lot of praise when it came out. I remember that much. But no one's really talked about it afterwards, which is kind of weird because it is a very, very good film. And there definitely, there are issues, I'm going to get to that, but there are a lot of things I really did like about it, and I think it's a very good example of what good comedy should do, that unfortunately not a lot of them actually do. Does that make any sense? Okay. So, let me explain exactly what I'm talking about here. Like, let me just say, before I even get to the issues or problems I have with this, and it involves the problems I have with a lot of other movies, is the first hour of this film is fantastic. I mean, really incredible stuff. Because, like, here's what it is. It presents a family. Really, when it comes to a movie, a kind of dysfunctional family is really all you need. But what I like about it, it's like, for the first hour at least, it never gets too over dramatic. It's just it feels like a very real family with this very real situations. Like kids are going through like growing pains and stuff like that. For those who don't know what the movie's about, even I guess I should probably explain. It's basically about a lesbian couple with two kids, a boy and a girl. One's named Laser. It's like names her kid Laser, but I chose to ignore that. And a girl who's unfortunately, the name slips me. I'm terrible with names. And anyway, the kids go out and find their sperm donor, and they basically movie surrounds how everyone reacts to that and how he becomes a bigger part of their family. And for that first hour when they explore all that, it's fantastic. It's great. It feels real. It feels like the characters are great. Like, they have great conversations. It feels very natural. It feels very flowing. I love the shit out of it. And the weird part is, like, I just saw The Avengers, like, last Friday, and with Mark Ruffalo. And this movie also has Mark Ruffalo in there. It's not that important, but I thought it was a weird coincidence. Yeah, I guess it's kind of hard to tell why I love this first hour of the movie so much. I've seen so many comedies, like, so many, like, these kind of movies where everything feels forced. Like, everything feels, like, way over dramatic. Like, they're trying to add drama and tension that isn't there. And this movie, at least initially, doesn't fall into that trap. Like, it establishes the family very clearly and very definitely. Like, and they all feel like real people. And that's probably the most important part. It's like, I believe these people and I believe their situation. And yeah, basically for the first hour, it's like I was really enjoying it. I was getting ready to call this movie like one of my favorite of all time. Like, I was all with it. And then we got to the second half, and I'm going to spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen it yet, or don't really care, or if you want to see it and you don't want to be spoiled, then stop watching now. But if you don't care, then keep watching, I guess. Halfway through the movie, they introduce an affair plotline between the sperm donor Mark Ruffalo plays and the more hippie lesbian, Julie, I believe. And look, I guess I'm trying to... I've never really been a big fan of the affair storylines that a lot of these kind of movies decide to go into. And I was really disappointed to see the movie fall into that kind of cliche. And let me be clear, I'm not minimizing the power of affairs. I understand that it's a very common thing that happens with a lot of marriages, and it is a very big deal. But I also feel like in a lot of movies, an affair almost feels like a scapegoat to not to add drama to marriage, pretty much. Like, it's like they couldn't think of any other way to add drama to marriage. Let's throw an affair in there. Like, that'll spice things up. And again, not saying that affairs aren't a serious marriage issue. It happens to a lot of families. I'm lucky that mine hasn't really had that issue. Maybe that's why it bothers me so much. I don't know. I guess I just wish that movies, especially ones with such great promise like this one, that I wish they could have found a better source of drama to carry it into the second act. Because, like, once an affair starts, you know how it's gonna go. It becomes completely predictable after that. I mean, like, the other person's gonna find out, they're gonna get mad, they're gonna fight, and then they're gonna mope for a little while, everyone's gonna get all angsty and shit, and then they're gonna make up at the final end of the movie, and, like, you know that's gonna happen, and it just sucks all the joy out of it. Now, I'm not saying it crashes and burns after that, because it still holds itself pretty well under the circumstances, but when the affair popped up, I don't want to say that's where it started to fall apart. It's just where it started to lose me. Because after that point, there was some great stuff to work there. Like Mark Ruffalo, when we meet him, is like, and everyone like changes through this movie. Like, everyone like grows and they respond differently to these this sudden change to their normal life, and that's great. I love exploring that. Like the son, Laser, is like reluctant at first, but he kind of slowly warms up to him. The daughter like immediately kind of clings on to him and really likes him. Paul, Mark Ruffalo's character, he doesn't know how to respond to it at first. Like, he's really skeptical about it, but they form a very clear connection, a very clear bond, and I really love seeing how that developed. And I wish there was more of that. Like, what's a good example? Because, what was I saying earlier? Like, all the characters, they go through, like, a very clear transformation. Like, they learn off each other, but at the same time, nobody's perfect in this movie. That's another thing I love about it. Nobody's perfect. Everyone has flaws, and they do come up, and people will call each other on their own, on each other's shit, and often they'll be hypocrites about it as well. Like, Mark Ruffalo's character at first he's kind of a douche initially. Like, he's kind of I don't want to say too self-righteous, but he does have his own philosophy, and it does come off a bit as arrogant. And I'm ashamed to say I see a little bit of it in myself. I'm not gonna lie. Like, he was talking about school or something at one point in the movie, and he was just talking about, like, well, what's the point? I was like, well, I dropped out of school because I didn't see the point of spending hours listening to people talk about things I can easily look in a book. But that's just me. And I was just like, oh dear God, do I do that? And I probably do. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the connections, and like the character, especially Mark Ruffalo's character, really goes through a clear transformation of the reluctance at first at this new scenario, but he slowly builds up and really likes the idea of having a family, and you can see that clear transformation. And you're not really sure where he's left at the end of the movie. They kind of leave it out in the open, which I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. But either way, like, even like the Julie character, like, everyone responds to this Paul's entrance differently. Like, one girl, like the two lesbian, the couple, one of them is like a gardener or whatever. I don't know the exact terminology, and she starts working with Paul closely, and then they end up, bonking each other. The other one is very much like a perfectionist doctor kind of person, very authoritative, and yeah, unfortunately she came off more as a bitch more than I would have liked. But at the same time, you can understand where she's coming from. Like, she's and you can see, like, I'm not making any sense.